Okay, hi everybody. So we're Health Baseline, and the idea is to stay connected and then stay cared for. So what we're really looking for is how do we take the increased aging population and allow them to stay in their homes. So instead of making them go to assisted living facilities or worrying about all the problems we have, how do we use technology to allow people to stay in their homes where they're comfortable? Because 93% of all aging adults say they would rather stay in their own home versus going to an assisted living facility. And they're saying that really since 2013, we've had almost a double in the growth of aging population. And by 2050, it's going to be 83 million people that we have to care for in that space. Right now, we hit about 4.5% of seniors in nursing homes. And it hasn't doubled yet. So we really have a shortage of healthcare workers, a need, and how do we kind of solve all this problem? So what we're looking for is Health Baseline. So Health Baseline is the non-invasive environmental sensors that work around the house to monitor signs of life, to allow you to maintain the privacy and autonomy that you have without having to leave your home. And so the idea from this came from my own personal experience. My mom was bedridden for 2 years. And what I used to watch is her Netflix queue. And so when she felt good, she'd watch movies. And when she was sick, she wouldn't. So whenever the Netflix queue stopped moving, I knew there was something wrong, and I could check in. Unfortunately, now we can't share a Netflix password, so I have to come up with another solution. So Netflix, thank you, you've caused this whole problem. So what we're doing is we're monitoring things like temperature, humidity, light, to identify signs of life. To identify if someone's walked in the room. Because if someone is still in bed, and they haven't gone out to the living room to watch TV, or they haven't cooked breakfast, by the afternoon, that's when you know there's a problem. So basically with all these sensors, we kind of monitor that, and it's possible to kind of really create a detailed picture of people's habits around all of that. But there's another step that has to happen from that. So between measuring temperature and humidity, CO2 levels, light levels, sunlight levels, even snoring, to see if someone might be having a problem. But then we really look into what's called call escalation. And this is where SignalWire really comes in to make this actually work for us. Because one of the things that you have a caregiver for is to kind of keep someone in compliance with their medical plan. And so we can do a call escalation, we can do some reminders via SMS. And we tried to get this really advanced blood pressure cuff that would do wireless and send all the information to the cloud. But you know what we did instead? We used SignalWire's API, and we actually just asked the person to give us their blood pressure information. And so we didn't have to buy the expensive blood pressure cuff. But then doing call escalation, because you know what? They can call you. They can call your family and friends instead of calling a medical professional and spending a lot of money. But if it's an emergency situation, and through this we're actually seeing there's medical need, we can do a telehealth appointment, which we'll do over there, a clinical visit, or an ER visit. And so just a simple thing like a Facebook Now or an Echo Show can actually do that. And so what do we have as a way of doing managed care across that? Because at the end of the day, it's no place like home. So Montasser, I'll let you kind of do the demo from here and kind of show the other stuff.
So just real quick, we would like to thank Brian from SignalWire for all the help, and we had an amazing time working through all the different functionalities and APIs, and we tried to hit pretty much a wide plethora of things that we could do. The AI assistant was especially helpful, and the way we were able to daisy link together various functionalities, as you're going to see very soon, is something that I think SignalWire is very useful for doing, and as a developer, it was great working with it. I mean, things are raw. As you'll see, we have a part of our system that we haven't finished yet, but it's partially working. Okay, so we have a bunch of things we read, we measure, and we're going to go through them one by one. This is a smart scale. So when I get on the scale, it takes things like my body composition,
your pulse, body composition, your weight, also to measure your front 3
7, 8 different things. and we store that on the cloud. We can use SignalWire to get all this data and also to get recommendations based on the information that we have sent via the cloud. One of the things that I am I was particularly proud of is this little guy right here. So this is a Doppler radar sensor. So what this theoretically allows you to do is to measure small amounts of movement. And last night I was up pretty much most of last night writing an algorithm that could measure breathing rate and hyperventilation without being an invasive thing. And my friend Brandon here.
So I did more of the home base station. You know, where we are reading these CO2 sensors, which is this sensor here. Show the camera. This sensor right here, CO2. Light sensor as well too. We have that, and then also whenever like once a day, or you know, just kind of dependent on what the healthcare professional says, we can also read in your heart rate as well too, and that is all being piped in from my laptop. Here we have all these, you know, all of the serial outputs, and then that goes all up to MongoDB, and then that's how we get all of that sensor input as well too.
So just to walk you guys through all these things, I think the SignalWire people are kind of interested. These are all the functions we implemented in the last, 20 hours. And it basically reads a lot of things. There's also a functionality for controlling a robot arm that can open and close windows and doors. The robot arm is in the back room, and we have a little video of that working. But without further ado, let's get to business with calling our AI agent. So this is, I hope you guys can hear me.
Yeah, you just put it up by the
Just
camera.
by the camera.
Yeah,
By the
just go in
camera,
front of
yeah.
the
Okay.
No.
I'm here to help. What can I assist you with today?
Get me the last temperature reading.
The latest temperature reading is 2 degrees.
Pretty hot.
And that's all coming from
Get
our
me my
base station.
get me my latest BMI.
Celsius? Yes, it is Celsius.
Millicelsius?
The latest recorded body mass index is 338. It's important to note that your BMI is at an overweight level. Please consider taking some corrective action.
They're like, yes, use the scale. Like,
Tell
that's
me-
a great idea.
Tell me how many times I snored last night.
I'm
All right, there were too many people talking. Let me just call again. Okay.
today.
Tell me how many times I snored last night.
I apologize for the inconvenience. It seems there was an issue retrieving that information. Is there anything else I can assist you with?
Send me a reminder for taking medications.
The reminder for taking medications has been sent. Is there
There's a
anything else
SMS.
you would like assistance with?
What was my breathing rate?
Your latest measured breathing rate is 84 breaths per minute. It's important to note that this rate is higher than the normal range. I recommend considering testing your
Oh,
pulmonary
moving my-
functions and screening for any potential lung or breathing issues. Is there anything else you would like to know or discuss?
Activate a video call.
The video call with your provider has been initiated. Please follow the instructions on your screen. If you need any further assistance, feel free to let me know.
So we can go into healthbaseline.com/video, and it kind of initiates the room over here. And We should have the call connected. Yeah.
Is the stream doing okay? I called it,
Yeah.
said it died for a second.
Okay.
And then,
The stream?
I'll mute that. And if you're watching online, you could go to healthbaseline.com/video, and you could also join this room if you're doing it live. So if you are watching live, you could go to healthbaseline.com and join our conference room with what's going on. But the idea is to have something simple that's non-invasive. We're not talking about putting a camera and facing somebody. This is just a photo frame. You know, and by having a web presence on here, we can kind of initiate that. And that could be initiated from a text message that maybe we're escalating that process. But now something right there can now start into a video call, and now we can escalate the service through all of that with all of these sensors to kind of know when we need that.
Yes.
There are two things you can do to improve the endpointing and turnaround. One is on the language sets and fillers.
Mhm.
Let me get that for you, or
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
Because she'll say that when
Okay.
she goes to other functions, so you don't have dead air.
Yeah.
And there's an end-of-speech option that's not in the UI that will lower some down if you want to, and a confidence score that you can really tweak with to get what you need.
Okay.
Was there a way to be able to engage the video automatically? We did see the way to be able to create the conference room.
Not yet.
Okay.
It was a hacky thing we did.
Yeah, because we were like going, okay, we could do a Python script on the
We did a
on the
Python
page to like
script,
hit the
and then
button.
There was like basically a lot of stitched things
Yeah,
going
yeah.
on,
But you
but
put them together nicely.
Right.
yeah. So
And then we had a backup Amazon Echo just in case this one didn't work right away. Because that, sometimes, you know, it's always nice to have a backup plan.
Yeah.
But it was just really kind of like, how do you create something that's non-invasive, that's there and you can check in on someone, and the idea is just, are they okay? And instead of trying to call a hospital or call the police to do a wellness check, now you got a very simple way of doing a video call, and they don't have to be technical. We can turn it on remotely, you know. And so really up until that point, we're trying to be non-invasive. We're trying to not be taking over someone's life. But at the same time, at a certain point, it's good to see their face and go, are you okay?
So at the end of the day, we also have like I had a bunch of text messages while we were doing the conversation. So we have automated endpoints which, depending on the scenario, send out alerts and messages routed through our system. The cool thing we kind of did is everything here is, you can see there's a URL and everything, so it's all hosted on the cloud. So we have a Google serverless Google Cloud Functions. So we were able to encapsulate a lot of the functionality from SignalWire onto Google Cloud and use that as a staging platform. And we used a serverless instance of MongoDB for our database and our data needs. And the way we were able to do that was basically stage various intermediate parameters that go into the composition flow that way. So it's basically all very modular. It's pretty easy to integrate extra data points or extra sensors into it. It's just a matter of adding a block of code.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if you get time, I'd appreciate it if you send me any feedback on anything we could do better to help accelerate development, because I'd like to see your perspective on things.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think, you know, when we get into like some of the forms, some of those things, there's definitely some areas there where we could probably improve, you know. But at the end of the day, you had a really robust kit that we were able to use, and we were looking at, okay, so how do we do compliance? You know, how do you keep someone, and if they have instructions from a doctor, how do you keep that? And to be able to kind of structure that so now messages are going out in time, and then if we can use these various sensors to go, they didn't take their meds.
Right.
Okay, they didn't jump on the scale today. They didn't take their blood pressure. And then all of those things have to be uploaded. And so then the idea then becomes a message to a car escalation and go, now we're calling, you know, the relative, and then the relative can then do it. And even having the AI agent do the phone call, you know, all of those things are features of what you have that we thought were really good. It's trying to find out the right mix.
From the technical perspective, I think just some of the things that you showed us, which are not available directly, would be awesome to have.
They'll be available soon.
Documentation of documentation that might be
Yeah,
documented.
because once I figured out you can put in scripts by tweaking the URL and then you edit it. that would have been a lifesaver for a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
But yes, again, thank you for listening to us, and I hope the presentation was enjoyable and informative.
Absolutely, it was a great job. Well done, guys.